Do come in, madam. Do come in from the waiting room. Come in.
Yeah, yes.
I hope you were comfortable there. How are you?
I'm all right.
Oh, dear. It's not a Morgan Flumph morning.
Pack it in, all right? Pack it in. I'm not a Morgan Flumph. I'm not grumpy in the morning.
No.
I'm just lying in because I've been sleepless in the night.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Not even funny. I didn't think it was funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a GSOH failure on that one.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Okay, as you saw the comment, the number of men that have come into the office over the last 40 years and said Guten Morgen to me, it's like, oh, if I'd only had a fiver for every time they'd run that joke, I'd be, Queen of England. Queen of England, yep.
Queen of England, indeed. Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Tell me about your week then.
Yes. My visitor on Friday who brought the second free lunch in a week was Alice, the artist.
Ah.
And we don't normally get much time when she comes, but this time we had a deep luxury of time. I always say to guests when they arrive, what time have you got to go? Then I can work backwards and manage my time expectations. And obviously normally when we're working together we get an hour, and then a couple of times she's been over before for a couple of hours, or she's hired me for a day or whatever. But this time we had a lovely lunch, and we were in the dining room, then we were in the garden, then we moved to under the umbrella, then we moved to the living room. We had so much time. We moved our position 4 times, so it was absolutely lovely. And we certainly, normally we don't have time to discuss nearly half of what we want to talk about, but this time I think we covered everything. It's brilliant.
Oh, marvellous. Feels good.
It does feel good. And after I said to you last week about John Richardson agreeing with me that writers write, on Sunday or Monday, I decided to open up 750 words again and do morning pages. And I was a bit poorly on Monday. Oh, no, I started on Sunday, I think, and I was a bit poorly on Monday and Tuesday, but I managed to get out of bed and do them. And then yesterday, Wednesday, it was like pulling teeth. It probably took me about 3 hours to write 750 words. And this morning I did them in about 20 minutes. It's an extraordinary thing.
Sometimes it flows, sometimes it doesn't.
Yes, I had plenty to talk about this morning, actually. And then I was going to talk to you about hoses, which is I've got a hose dilemma in the garden again. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago I couldn't fill the swimming pool because the hose connector kept dropping off the pipe?
Yes.
It seems that, and I think there is some truth in this. I don't think I'm being ist. But it seems to me that the more money people have in terms of their balance sheet, their real estate, their enormous, monstrous, delicious, wonderful, luxurious properties, the cheaper they are with their hose connectors. So it's a sweeping generalization, obviously. And the thing about a hose, as we agreed last time, is it's out in the sun all the time. So It's rotting. And This is a huge garden. And no sooner do I get the hose up the top end of the garden than it comes off at the tap at this end of the garden. And it's like, I think, for my own peace of mind, given that I'm here until September, I think I'll just buy them a new hose connector, because it's like, how on earth do they manage? The other alternative would be duct tape.
Duct tape works for lots of things, I find.
Does it work for hose connectors, I wonder?
What, holding them on?
Holding them onto the tap.
It's quite a strong pressure of water, but I would say it's worth a try before investing in a new
Well, I don't think they're very expensive, hose connectors. That's the irony of it.
Yeah. But, they do just go.
They do just go. But what's an annoying thing? You're trying to water an acre of real estate, and the hose connector keeps dropping off the tap, and you've got to keep walking back to the tap and connecting it and crossing your fingers and hoping it'll work again.
Well, it obviously doesn't do it for them. It's obviously gone in between the time when they went and you.
No, I don't think it was. I think there's a knack to a lot of things in a lot of people's homes.
Yes, that's right.
And I don't think they are easily passed on from one human being to another. In fact, when Marion was staying once, she said to me, "Is there anything I need to know about the shower?" And I said no. She was furious when she came out because it had, as she turned it on, it had sort of wet her hair or something. I don't know. But you can't get inside other people's heads about what's easy and what's difficult, can you?
No, I particularly hate those doors where you have to close them firmly and then lift the handle counterintuitively up.
Yes. No, you see, I'm quite good at those because they come up in my life quite a lot, and they do actually work.
Yes.
Whereas the hose doesn't work. Now, and the fourth and final thing I have to talk to you about here is, do you know about Amazon Prime Now?
I've heard that they deliver food, but
they deliver groceries in a 2-hour window on the same day.
No.
So instead of having to wait once a week to put in an order on Ocado if I'm not in the mood or I don't feel like it or I don't want to spend that much money, they nip round with a few things later on.
Oh, that's marvellous.
It is marvellous.
You have to test it and see how it fits.
I've done it twice. But I did it once at Claire's and I've done it once here. But I think what's annoying is it's that bloody company again.
The annoying company?
Amazon. Did you not see how much money he put on his bottom line this week?
No, I don't have a problem with that.
Do you not?
No, not really, because he started a company out of his own head. He's taken it through.
But Nicola, the exploitation of the people that work for the company.
Well, they can choose not to work there, can't they?
I'm not sure people can in this day and age. That's the problem. I think values, if you're an employer or one of the world's leaders employers, you have to lead by example a bit.
Yes, I do agree that he should be looking after people, but I don't know what the answer is to this one. It's capitalism versus socialism.
Well, it's globalism, really, and I hope. I mean, I'll never be in his position, but I hope that any position I'm ever in, well, you know, the Michael Neal rule: try to improve every environment into which you come into contact.
Yes, but the problem comes when you go public, doesn't it? Because you've got shareholders.
No, darling, this is his personal drawings have gone up by 10 billion during COVID.
Yeah, but if he's got a company that's making that kind of profit,
but some of that, he doesn't need to take 10 billion. If he took 9 billion and the employees were better looked after around the world, surely that is a better scenario for everyone, isn't it?
We can't talk about this on here because I don't know enough about it to talk about it, and I feel at a distinct disadvantage. So, you know, there's no point. Either of us have run a multi-million company with shareholders and you know, so we don't know what decisions have to be made, do we?
Well, there's an article in The Guardian this week that explains how his drawings have gone up during COVID, if you're interested.
I will read it. Then I will feel a little more well-informed.
Indeed. I think it is a well-known fact, actually, that the people who work for Amazon are disadvantaged. Tell me about your week. Well,
I'll start with the AstroTurf, shall I? Nelson
Feel free.
Nelson arrived home last night with two large... Actually, I'll start a little further back than that. Nelson works with a chap out and they go to people's houses and they go around and they do things like gutters and fencing and they were on a...
How useful. What a useful chap to know. Yeah.
Exactly. And he got this job because he was cutting up wood for pizza ovens.
Yes, I remember, yeah.
And that was where he found the horse statues in the barn.
Yes.
All very surreal.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the house on my own. Phoebe's gone off to a personal training session and I'm sitting on my nightie with my little shawl on, thinking I really must get in the shower soon. And I heard two blokes come up the stairs and it was Nelson and his boss. I was absolutely mortified, you can imagine. And he said, "Oh, it's all right, Ma. I told him you'd probably be in your nightie." So I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, I've come because one of the biggest challenges of people who work outside at the moment is called public toilets are shut." So they happened to be going through Shoreham at a moment when Nelson's stomach started playing up, and so he thought, "I'll pop in at home and get all nice and comfy." So he sent his boss up onto the roof to admire our view, because we do have a quite spectacular view from our roof over Shoreham Estuary, the sea, the Shoreham town. It's all very picturesque. And anyway, so then they went off and carried on with their business around Brighton and surrounding areas. And then Nelson arrived home with two big rolls of AstroTurf and a glue gun, a very large glue gun with Gorilla Glue in it, apparently, which is the best glue to be had, and proceeded to AstroTurf some of our roof.
Is it the roof that goes with flat 2, or is it the roof that goes with
It goes
building
to flat
2?
2. Yeah, there's only one. There's only us that's got access to it. And
I'm just wondering if you should have asked permission before you did that.
Well, it's not going to be very permanent, we don't think, but it's stuck down anyway to stop it blowing about, because the last thing we want is it blowing off onto someone's car. That would be a bit of a tragedy.
Yeah, that would be grim, yeah.
And we are going to test whether it is now firmly stuck, but I don't think it's permanently stuck, if you know what I mean. There's a difference between firm and permanent. But anyway, Phoebe came home and said, and immediately lay down on it, because it has that effect on you, good AstroTurf. And she said, yoga sessions, reading my book. Oh, it's lovely. I like it a lot, because it was just a little bit hard and, tarmacky up there.
Mm-hmm.
So we all sat down and had a little drink and watched the sun go down a little bit until poker. And then I went and played poker, and I came 5th out of 180 people.
Good.
So for an investment of $1, I won $5 something. I can't remember the small change.
This $1 cracks me up.
Sorry?
The $1 cracks me up.
But it was a whole evening's entertainment. Pete obviously got knocked out quite quickly because he's a bit of a looser player than I am. But he goes off and he does finds another couple of tournaments, 9-man normally, and we chat on Zoom. And so I've got my poker table over my face, so I can just see him, and he does the same, so he can see me. And I've told you we're looking for tells most of the time, but it's quite funny. And what else has happened? My Facebook ads account got shut down this week. Last Thursday, actually, after our call. And then I thought, I didn't really get upset this time. I just thought, for God's sake. And then I thought, no, I'm going to appeal. So I hit the appeal button because it said that my ads were violating community standards, and I hadn't actually run an ad for over a month. So I thought that was a bit unfair. So I hit the appeal button, and 2 days later, the email came through that I showed you, which said, we're sorry, that was your ads and the ad accounts were disabled in error, and we hope that wasn't too inconvenient for you.
And do you know the funny thing? I was listening to the show we recorded last week, again last night, and you were so happy. You said, "I'm so happy because I've got this route to market that Facebook can't take issue with," or something. And I'd already heard from you that Facebook had taken issue with it.
Well, they hadn't, because I haven't run the ads, so they'd just taken an issue with something else. I who knows what, but I think either someone is maliciously reporting, but they can't have done because I haven't been running any ads for a month. So it must just be.
It is weird, isn't it?
I don't know. But you know what? It was funny because just before I got the email from Facebook, I was looking at an article from a man who's been completely locked down and he lives on his own in a farmhouse somewhere. But he's got some nesting owls in his barn, and he's put up a webcam, so, a constant webcam, so people watch these owl chicks. Yeah. And his page was disabled for nudity and offensive adult behaviour.
No, it's bizarre, isn't it? It's bizarre because what were the owls doing?
Well, they hadn't got enough feathers on, presumably.
Oh, bless them.
I know. Anyway, he's got his page back now. So that was what led me to just think, I wonder if I've heard from Facebook yet. And went and had a mooch around, and lo and behold, there's an email in my promotions tab saying your ad account's back. And finally, caller, if anyone out there, finally listeners, if anyone out there wants a wardrobe, shabby chic, could do with a bit of a clean, but as Phoebe so beautifully put it in her ad copy, nothing a lick of paint wouldn't solve. We are desperate to get rid of this wardrobe because she's got a new chest of drawers arriving tomorrow.
I should tell you that by the time this podcast goes out, it'll be a week tomorrow, Friday the 31st of July, and Phoebe will have got rid of that wardrobe long before then.
She's a very determined young lady, yes. She'll probably burnt it on the roof in her
yeah, and set fire to the Gorilla Glue.
Yes. So that's been my week, really. It's been ups and downs, I think you'd call it.
Okay, do you want to go whiz straight into what's your fire?
I will. Well, I've been moving all my stuff onto Thinkific.
Yes.
And I came across something that I'd totally forgotten about. It's amazing, really, isn't it? You create things and then totally forget about them, which was a 12-week case study with Kate Cocker. Remember Kate Cocker?
Mm-hmm.
Presenter coach. Anyway, so I thought I was whipping the videos over, and I got to number 12 when she announced that she didn't want to be a presenter coach anymore. She wanted to go more into the podcast world. Typical, happens to me a lot with my clients. And then I thought, I wonder how she's getting on. Let's do an update. So I went and had a look, and she moved into the Amazon skills first, and so she started with. Now let me give you some numbers because this is nice. and it will lead into my word of the week later. 1 second, callers. Oh, I've lost it already. Hang on. Woo. Okay, so her numbers at the beginning of starting to work with me were her Facebook page likes had 154 likes. She had 20 people on her mailing list, and she had no YouTube subscribers, no other marketing to speak of whatsoever. She's moved into a new YouTube channel and a podcast called Everyday Positivity. The YouTube channel has got 414 subscribers and 5,657 views. However, that's not where she's really making waves. She's got 1,559 likes on her Facebook page. Her group's got 6,649 highly engaged members. And she's got 114 positive reviews on her Amazon Skills Daily Briefing. No idea how many subscribers are on that, but I reached out to Kate for an update, and she says, I'm constantly enjoying gig invitations to go and speak, and I'm a rising star on the podcast scene, even being asked to judge podcast competitions. I've also become a podcast producer rather than a radio producer, and I've just launched Fleur East's podcast, which is called The Reality of Reality TV with Fleur East. So if you want to go and check that out, if you're interested in reality TV, my client is the producer, which never would have happened if she hadn't gone through the whole Be Everywhere Online process and started putting herself out there.
And am I right that her husband does the rugby podcast?
He's one of the three in Egg Chasers.
Yes. So podcasting's in the family.
He is very much so. And
yeah, cool.
He's also he's the breakfast jock on Virgin Radio.
Okay.
In Manchester, they're based, isn't it?
So radio's their thing.
Well, it is. They really, really love it. Yeah. And he also does presenting on TV when the sports are actually on TV as well.
Yes.
But no, she just went through this sort of pivot, and not into something wildly different, but that everyday positivity. She just started putting out videos she went live on her Facebook page every day, and it turned into an ad skills thing on Amazon, and then it turned into a massively engaged group.
So what is she selling as such?
Well, herself as a podcast producer.
Okay, yes, good. Okay, so yes, that's a much easier sell than coaching, you see. Well done for the
absolutely.
pivot. Yeah.
She still gets the odd sale for her little radio presenters course.
Yep.
Comes through, I see, because I get copied on everything.
Yep.
No, it was nice, and it was really nice to I'd completely forgotten about this 12 sets of videos, and moving them over made me go in and find out what had happened to her.
And have you moved them over as a separate course or product on the Thinkific, or as parts of the?
It's all part of the same thing. I'm I'm still on the bundling everything together thing. I just think it's much easier.
Okay.
Yeah, but I might rethink that later on, but not at the moment.
Yeah, because it could be a standalone thing.
It could be, yeah. But I've got the Money Gym as a standalone thing now.
Yeah, but, on Thinkific.
Yeah, but it's also bundled in if you go join the Be Everywhere Online course.
Yeah, be careful with the bundle, because I don't think people want more.
No, perhaps not.
Because it's overwhelming, isn't it? And actually, it just might. If you turn that into 3, it might be more for you rather than to keep adding value for the joy of it.
Yes. Okay, and I have added some value on even the Money Gym. The Thinkific platform is so easy to move stuff into. It's really enjoy.
Good.
Very good. What about you? What's fueled your fire?
Well, yesterday and the day before, the Back to 60 campaign, which is the sister organisation to the WASPI women, were back in court for a 2-day appeal against the injustice of the 3.8 million women, such as myself, born in the 50s, having their pensions stolen from them for up to 6 years. I've no idea yet how long we'll have to wait for the outcome, but I Googled it this morning, and some of the headlines and the videos were very positive, fingers crossed. I did a little sum, which was, I know it's cost me 48,000, and there are 3.8 million women. So if they were to repay us all in full, which I don't imagine is what they have in mind, I think compensation perhaps, that would be 182 billion. And actually the reporting said over 200 billion. And that got me wondering how much Rishi's COVID payments have cost the government to date, and how much it'll cost altogether to compensate. We found the magic money, didn't we, for the COVID payments? I wonder, if the court case goes against them, they'll have no choice but to find some more magic money for the Back to 60 women. But I think people who carry on campaigning are to be applauded, because I think that's exhausting and hard.
So do I. And also, you're living in a negative state, aren't you? But
well, you're not really, because you've got lawyers doing it for you. But, some people feel so strongly about things that they can, different personality types, perhaps to you and me, find the resources to hold that aloft. And of course, with what they've got is they've got two front women who are the test cases, and if they win, then we all win, type of thing. But it was just because I thought last year was the end of it, but no, they've appealed the appeal, if you know what I mean. So good on them.
I mean, I went through, Heather and I went through a 3-year court case to force. We had a flat in South London, not a million miles away from where you were, actually.
It was Tulse Hill, wasn't it? Yours?
Yeah. And the roof got infested by pigeons, and that eventually it ate its way through the ceiling.
Yes.
To our flat, made our flat unlivable. So we had a lot of rental income. It all had to be repaired.
Was that Lambeth Council you were fighting?
Yeah.
No, Southwark. What council? Oh, the freeholder. Okay.
And they were a very big, well-known company. And if it hadn't been for Heather, I would have walked away.
Well, you see, Heather's got the personality type, as it happens.
Yeah.
She has. My friend Lorna fought Lambeth Council because she had exactly the same issue as you. And it's years and years and years and years and years. And what they do, the other side, is they hope you'll just wither on the vine and give up.
Yeah.
That's why it takes so long. So the people who win through are the ones with the fortitude.
And the real trick seems to be, because Heather's partner Richard's got a friend who's been going through an utter hell of a court case with the government and all sorts of people, Ministry of Security, all sorts of people like that, and the police, and they lie through their teeth.
I know. Can I just tell you the irony of being in the courts of justice when you're sitting there listening to the other side lying?
It's just unbelievable.
It is. And, if you were in the witness box, which I've been, and you put your hand on the Bible and you say you'll tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and we know that the risks of not doing that are what's it called? Yes, prison. Well, prison. Yes, for what's it called? Perjury, lying in court.
Yeah,
and yet the other side always does it.
Yeah, and the higher the other side is, the more they do it.
Yes, they do, because they feel protected.
Anyway, this is going to get us banned from all sorts of places if we carry on down this road.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing, and I think you're absolutely right that it should make ordinary people think twice about going to law. But that's why I'm so impressed by these two women who are doing it for us, because and of course they've got this marvellous Michael Masterson, or whatever his name is,
he got
the results after 12 years for Stephen Lawrence's mother, Doreen. And you couldn't have a better man on your side, really. But the government are fighting back hard, as I said to you yesterday, because they don't want to have to find this money for women.
No, and that's what the thing about the friend of Richard's. He managed to find a top barrister who finally agreed, who wrote the book on the thing that he's
brilliant.
And he's representing him for free. But if he hadn't found him, he wouldn't have hope in hell.
No, and I do think if you go to law, you want the biggest weapon on your side you can find. Yeah,
the one who wrote the book about it. Yeah,
it's the only way to feel equal in the fight.
Yeah, that's true. When will you find out? Do you know?
I don't know. Last time was quite a long gap. I don't know. I couldn't find that out on Google this morning. The judges go off and have a think about it.
They deliberate. Yes.
Yeah, they do. They deliberate.
By the other side.
What I don't know is if they deliberate in our favour, is there another appeal, or does it end here? I don't know that.
I don't think they can. I think if their judgment comes down, they can't keep appealing it, can they?
Well, I don't know. That's the point. This is our second appeal. So if we've been allowed to, how many would they be allowed? Anyway, let's see.
2 each, perhaps.
I don't know.
Okay, let's move on to Focus of the Week then. Are you going to?
Yes, I am. I'm going to tell you. It's come in from Helen Milton, who is also Helen Elliott Art. She's an artist. She also runs workshops, and on her Facebook profile it says she lives rather intriguingly in West Wales and East Yorkshire.
Oh.
Quite a fascinating mix of geography, that. And Helen, I hope you'll explain that to me later. It's a lovely, muddly, emotionally messy, complex question. It's something about being self-employed and always being very, very tempted to say yes to everything, mainly because of the excitement of new projects, but also because of the need to constantly build and have work and income. This, balanced by the need to not burn out, focus on and finish projects, and of course, relax and enjoy life outside business.
Struck home for me this one, really.
Honestly, I mean, what a belter. I mean, frankly, there you have self-employment in a nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely. and you know, I remember my first ever life coach, Rachel Turner, first one? Yes, I think she was, asking me if I could just focus on one of the 4 projects I had on the go at the time. Could I even possibly put the other 3 to one side and just focus on one? And I remember thinking, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Of course I can't. Because any one of the 3 might work. And, you know, you just don't know which one it's going to be. But what she was trying to tell me was that by not focusing on one at a time, I was pretty much guaranteeing they were all going to fail.
Yeah, you're self-sabotaging, absolutely. Yeah.
And funny enough, I sat in the park. I sat in a graveyard, not a park, last Sunday, thinking to myself, I really feel the need to start making video again, you know, like I used to with VZine. And I mean, it was never got many more than about 40 or 50 views, perhaps 100 if it was a good topic. But, you know, I just felt the need for that creative output. And I thought, I sat in the graveyard, I thought I could be a YouTuber. Because, of course, YouTubers are very much in my mind, what with Richard's son doing so well with it, and Phoebe starting up her makeup channel again. And I thought, I could be a YouTuber too. And I'm 58, for God's sake, why have I got this sudden desire to be a YouTuber? And then I thought, I went home. I think it was just it was a grey, drizzly day, and I wasn't really doing anything. And I hate drizzly Sundays. I really hate them. Perhaps it was just, you know, a bad day. But then I came home and I thought, what is wrong with you? You've got enough work to do with what you've got. You've got a lovely course. You've got a lovely new website. You've got a lovely new teaching platform. You've got lovely new clients who've just come off your lovely new 5-day challenge. Why on earth are you feeling the need to start something brand new again?
And what was the answer to that?
The answer was that I think it's just a constant urge for creativity and it will have an outlet. And what I've got to do is just keep trying to channel the creativity into the existing things I've got, rather than trying to do something completely new. But it's like a drug. It's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a haze that comes over you. You know, the red mist when people get angry. What colour would a creative mist be? Purple. It's got to be purple, isn't it? And it was like this mist descended on me, and I turned into this entrepreneurial, creative, frenzied person who couldn't just sit and watch telly for the afternoon. You know, I had to stomp around Shoreham filming things. Don't know what came over me. I really don't. Help.
I do think you're right about the drug. I like to blame the wonderful author, recently deceased, Barbara Sher, with the book about scanners, where it was called Refuse to Choose, and she gave people like us permission to just fill their lives with as what Helen calls excitement of new projects and saying yes to everything. And I've had to talk most of my clients out of that. Now, what I've discovered is that they fall into 2 camps. Half of them some of them will take the advice to focus because they want the successful end result. And those that don't prefer the drug, the sexy, the ideas, they just love that. They don't care whether they ever make any money or not.
I think also something going on in that your brain, if you plan something new, your brain thinks that you've done it. And so some people go off the boil after the planning stage is over because their brain's saying, well, we've done that now. Because the planning was so real, you know, the blue skying.
I don't think, that's blue skying is completely different from planning. I was just going to say, I don't think those people are doing any planning at all. No, they're just having sex with ideas.
Yes, having sex with ideas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it pretty much guarantees that you're not going to do. I mean, what was I thinking? I've got a book I could write if I needed something new to do, something different from what I do during the week. It was just, I don't know, it was like it was like this urge to express myself somehow.
Right. So what we've discovered so far is that you resonate very much with Helen's desire to say yes to everything and the excitement of new projects.
Yeah.
I know the next one resonates with you, which is the constant need to build and have work and income.
Well, that's easing off a bit now. So, because my outgoings are so very, very low nowadays, I don't feel the need to work all the time as much as I did. So perhaps that's something to do with...
But you've always had the view that the reason why you had 4 at the beginning was you weren't sure which one was going to work.
Yes.
And I think what might be helpful for Helen here is to realise that if she can channel all the creativity into her favourite children, as it were, of projects that she's got on the go now, 1, 2 if you really must. So she's certainly got art and she's got workshops. So she already does 2 things. You could say they run together. But Helen, could you do what Nicola described, which is channel your excitement about new things into your existing 2 core business offerings, so channel the creativity. And if you do, this thing about the constant need to build and have work and income, that just gets so much easier.
Yeah.
That's the outcome of the focus is work and income.
And that's why I tell you what helped me was when I started doing the bundling everything into one membership, because all I had to do was come up anything new I came up with. Are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I heard a funny noise. Anything new I came up with could either be a new marketing initiative to get people into my membership, or it could be a new course for the membership. So I just had to remember that. I don't know what came over me on Sunday. I really don't.
Well, it happens. And I think the issue is to notice when it's happening and to thoroughly enjoy the session that you've just had blue skying, and then evaluate whether or not it adds any value to your existing customers and you want to have the distraction of it because you can't help yourself, or whether because you see the next half of her question is the need not to burn out, the need to relax and enjoy life outside business, and the need to focus on unfinished projects. And there's no money in ideas.
No. And it's exhausting when you get into one of these entrepreneurial creative frenzies. It's almost like bipolar, Judith.
It is. You could ration it, I think. You could say, this is my 2020 sexy, exciting idea, and I won't have another one until I've focused on and finished it.
Not 2019's.
Well, you can't start a new one until you've brought the last one to market, because it's only bringing it to market and offering it to the public and the public buying it and you making money that solves the work and income issue.
Yeah.
And actually, the saying yes to everything, the excitement of new projects, does lead directly to burnout.
Yes, exactly. It does.
And you know what I think is going on here? And I've said this, the most difficult person to say no to is ourselves. Because when you get that exciting idea, you've got to say no to yourself.
Yeah. Well, there was a good outcome from it, because what I realised from that day was that I am seeking some sort of video outlet, and I thought I'm going to resurrect the V-zine, because I like going around filming little snippets of things and then roll them once a week.
I actually think YouTube would be a better option for you.
Well, the V-zine does go onto YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I was on the verge of starting a whole new YouTube channel. Jesus Christ.
Well, that's what I meant. I think that might not be, for just for the purposes of expressing your creativity.
It's all right. I don't think I need
good.
I think I can do it in my existing channel on a different playlist.
Good.
So, yes, I totally, with you, Helen, I totally understand. I really do. But, the years of experience of feeling these frenzies has shown me that it's much more productive to try and channel them into either something that can be sold to your existing clients, or something that will add value to your existing clients, or some way to bring more existing clients to you via marketing.
And I love it that she remembers to include relaxing and enjoying life outside business. I mean, actually, if you live in West Wales and East Yorkshire, that's probably very easy because it's beautiful countryside in both places.
That's the hardest thing. And I think that's why I drove myself out of the house on Sunday, because I didn't know what to do with myself on Sunday, because it was a miserable day. We still can't go anywhere. And there's not much fun going anywhere on your own anyway. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma situation with that. So that has yet to be resolved for me.
You say we can't go anywhere. Can we not?
No, not really. I tried to have lunch with Pete the other day and he rang 12 places and not one of them was open.
Oh, I see what you mean. You can't go to that sort of place, but you could have gone to his or him to you, or you two could have had a picnic somewhere, or we can go to...
No, none
well,
of them.
No, okay.
No,
All right.
he lives too far away.
Okay.
Yeah, so so I think that was it. It was restlessness, it was boredom, it was all sorts of things rolled into one. So I think you've got to look for your triggers as well. You know, look at what triggers you into that entrepreneurial creative frenzy.
I do think at the beginning, and we were both like this at the beginning, you know, when you're an ideas-y, creatory type of person, people endlessly want you on their projects. So they're endlessly approaching you with their ideas they want you to join in on. And some of them sound great because actually, and we discussed this last week, creators are sort of bad for each other because they're just encouraging you in your drug addiction.
Yes.
That you're an enabler. Another creative person can be an enabler.
They can indeed, if not a fellow addict.
I would bribe myself a bit. I would say I'm not allowed to start a new project until, if it's my clients, I always say, tell them Judith says I can't. Judith says I can't start another project until I finish my last one.
Yeah.
And actually everything that you already do, Helen, you know, art and workshops, is probably pretty cool and enjoyable anyway. Why sabotage the success of that? I think actually what we're talking about here is a bit like dog training. It's like you can let your dog run amok all over the park and ruin everybody's day, or you and your dog can go to some training and bring it in within a sort of boundaries that's better for you, better for the dog, and better for everybody else in the park. And all it is it's a form of discipline and self-discipline, which actually will support you.
Yes, it certainly will.
It sounds horrid, but it will support you. So you'll not be all over the shop. You'll be clear.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. And perhaps if I'd have just had the self-discipline to go to Co-op and get something to cook for dinner, it would have saved me a lot.
Well, and then this thing about relaxing and enjoying life outside business, I always used to do what I call make an appointment to lie down. We can't do that much at the moment, but, you know, aromatherapy once a week or whatever it was, the things I'm missing at the moment, the manicure, the pedicure, the hairdresser, you know, you can put appointments in your diary to go for a walk with a friend where you let somebody else down. I find that a very successful thing. If I want to make changes or create new habits in my life, I'll make an appointment to do it with somebody else. Yeah. And then, you know, 3 months in, you might go for a walk by yourself. But, you know, there's things that you know that you love that you can put in your diaries, and you've got to stop what you're doing. So these things about not burning out and relaxing and enjoying life outside business are very much connected. The focusing on and finishing projects and the constant need to build and have work, they're a couple as well. And saying yes to everything is just wrong. Stop it immediately. And the excitement of new projects will never go away. So you have to know yourself well enough to know whether it adds value to what you're up to. And I tell you what, yesterday I said to a client, now shut your eyes and breathe in and out for 30 seconds and tell me, I can't even remember what we were talking about now. And she said to me after 30 seconds, the thing that won't go away is, if you've got one that won't go away, you've got to do it. But if you park them all in a notebook for 3 weeks, most of them go away. I do that with Amazon. I don't buy it. I put it on my wish list, and if I still want it in a couple of weeks' time, I buy it. And most of it, I don't. I'm over it. I'm over it. It's just in the moment. So you can learn to manage yourself better.
Coping strategies, yes.
Horrible word, the idea of managing. I don't like managing anything really, but know your risk areas and put things in to help you, I don't want to say manage again, help you resist temptations unless they either won't go away or add value to existing things.
Yeah, don't go down that dodgy alleyway in the wrong part of town.
Just have a look here. Yeah, the two things that are important for me in your list are finishing projects, because then you might create some income from it and then you won't have the constant need, and relax and enjoy life outside business, because that's why we're self-employed. Yeah.
And there was now I always remember that awesome presentation that Mike Filsane did, where he actually proved to Steve and I, we were sitting in the audience, so we looked at each other afterwards and said, he just proved why we've got to focus on one thing at a time. Because
Mark Forster does that as well.
Yeah. I wonder what's happened to Mark Forster. You never hear from him nowadays, but
You do actually. He was a little bit poorly, and I think he might have had an operation. And then he took up walking to bring himself back to health. I watch him on Facebook a bit.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go and hunt him down.
But actually, he's older than me, so he's probably. I think he writes mainly, doesn't he?
I don't know. I'm going to go and have a look.
But he asked in the class I went to, what's the best, what's the fastest way to bring a product to market? Is it to work on 3 simultaneous? And I was the only person that got it right in the room. And he said, you're the only person that's ever got it right ever. I already knew that if you're pushing 3 balls, it's like running the 100-meter race in several lanes at once.
Yes.
You're never going to win, are you?
You can't do it.
Probably not even going to finish, quite frankly.
I really ought to do a visual representation of that presentation because it was such a compelling thing, and I think it would stop Helen in her tracks, perhaps, and perhaps I should have pinned it up on my wall or something. So
and have a look at Mark Forster's stuff as well, because I bet it's in there. It's in one of his books, definitely.
Mark Forster, Forstr. I'll just file out. I remember that was his phrase.
He's got lots of very simple, everyday strategies for being successful as a one-man or one-woman band, despite all of these kind of opportunities, challenges, excitements, addictions, whatever it is. They're very simple strategies. They're not complicated. So they're just about, well, there's that, yes. Or you could do this and that might help. Oh, yes, it might. It's quite low key. There's no hectoring in it.
Yeah, no, he was a lovely chap. I remember he came to speak for our West Sussex Worthing Women's Network.
But he's got a nice calming manner as well.
Yeah, he's very nice. Good. Mark Forster with an R, that is in the middle.
Mm.
What is your word of the week then?
Well, interesting. It's hectoring because I've just used it. And I put out a thing on Facebook that talked about, I'm fed up with these male business gurus hectoring us about their way of doing things. And Ruth asked me, what's the word hectoring mean? And I said, it means to talk to someone in a bullying way. And she said, why is Hector involved in that? And I said, well, if you go and Google it, you'll discover that Hector from Greek mythology, originally a hero, later became to be thought of as more of a braggart and a bully. It's interesting, isn't it? That, well, I love the derivation of words, but it's interesting that Ruth had never heard of the word hectoring. And I don't know enough about Greek mythology to know Hector's qualities without looking them up. Anyway, hectoring, there you go. What's yours?
Validated, because as I moved things across, I realised how good my content was, and I felt validated, which was nice.
I think it's always lovely to be able to look at one's own content and go, oh, you've done a good job there, Nicola.
Yeah, you got a lot more than I thought you had.
Yeah.
and some of it's quite good, yes.
Actually, you've often said on this show that you've got a lot more than you thought you've had, and you've forgotten about things that you've created in the past.
I know, it's incredible.
You see, that goes to Helen's point as well, as that if you're in this place of addiction to new, you move on so quickly, and you've got all of these little assets sitting there underperforming.
I know. I'm a shocker for that. Yes. So, yes, I was very validated when I saw, especially when I saw that 12-week thing. I mean, I don't even remember doing that. I do. And actually, I think quite a lot of the listeners will, because you talked about it on here at the time. Yeah, I probably did. And we talk about everything on here. What are your project updates then?
Another 10% up on my final module with Jordan. This final one is really time consuming. There's a lot of visualizing and detail required to write up your 8 goals for your future life. So I think I've done 1 last week and I've done number 2 this week. I don't think it's going to take me 6 weeks to finish it, but I don't rule it out. It is quite time consuming. Not just time consuming, it's energy. It needs, because you're visualizing and thinking and things you haven't thought about before. Well, there you go. It's quite creative, and I find that quite draining sometimes.
Yeah, your brain. I mean, just.
Well, I know that I'm working. Yeah, I'm working on it, and I just need to. I'm not going to rush it, so it's taking a while. And actually, I did the extra 10% this morning just so I could tell you I'd done it. So actually, I've been up this morning. I've done tapping with Marion. I've done my I Love My Life. I've done 2 lots of brain training. I've done 750 words, and then I saw you calling me a Morgan Fumpful, whatever it was called, and I thought, on your bike, woman.
I wasn't. Oh no, I was just teasing. Anyway, so my project updates are that as I said earlier, I've reinstated the V-zine. Well, thank God for standard operating procedures is all I can. A phrase I never thought I'd hear myself say. Thank God for standing operating.
No, I think you like a sop, actually. I do.
Yeah, you do. Right. And I'm really grateful for them because neither Margelle or I can remember exactly what process we used to go through with this V-zine, and it's all beautifully detailed out and videos to watch if you forget which bit you're supposed to be doing. So can I really, really encourage everyone that it's a really, really good idea to keep your standard operating procedures, even for procedures that you think you might never do again, because you never know when you might need them again.
Or what, as we call it, the How We Do It Here manual.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a little bit friendlier, isn't it?
It is, yes. That's not so dry sounding. So who or what's impressing? I've got 3.
Oh, I've only got 1. You go. Give me a couple of yours.
Okay, a couple of mine. Have I mentioned remarkable places to eat with Fred Syria today?
No, but I think I saw the half of the first episode where they went to Marrakesh, I think.
Oh my God. I've never seen this programme before.
I saw it last year. It was good last year.
Well, I missed it last year.
I think it was actually there was a brilliant one in Edinburgh last year. I loved it.
I can't wait for that one. I can't wait to watch that one. I know about that one. But I watched the Marrakesh one. I'm not joking. I was nearly in tears by the end of it because he was with someone who was so passionate about.
She's great, that woman. Yeah, I love her. Yeah. And
Fred was so bowled over by how amazing the cuisine was, how amazing the women in the kitchen were at this incredible restaurant. And I've got a mate, Pete, actually, who's going to go to Marrakesh soon. So I sent him a link to the programme. I said, you've got to watch this because you'll have 3 amazing places to go and eat that nobody else would have ever heard of. It's just incredible. I really enjoyed Paris with Michel Roux Jr. I really enjoyed Austria with the little French bird that dresses in the retro stuff. I just absolutely loved it. It was great. Can I just thank you for introducing me to Twins the Trend?
Aren't they sweet?
I've never felt moved to do this yet, but I've become a Patreon of theirs.
Oh, bless you.
So much pleasure.
Yeah.
2 little guys who are they're just off to college actually, and they're twins, and one's a singer and one's a musician of some kind, and they are discovering all of the best old tunes as recommended by their watchers, and they sit and listen to them, watch them for the first time on YouTube. Judith, I mean, really, it's perfect. I'm so hooked.
Well, do you know, when I found it, and I don't know why we're talking about this again because we went into it at huge length last week, but when I found it, the first thing I went was I PM'd you to say, oh my God, I found something you're going to love. I just knew you would love it.
Oh, it's on so many levels. Just the fact that they're reminding me of great old tunes. I watched a Steely Dan one today.
Oh, yes.
And that was so good. And the fact that their pleasure when they come across.
I know. Have they found one they don't like yet?
I've definitely seen them watch things that they weren't so keen on. The best one so far was Rick Astley. They absolutely loved Rick Astley. They could not believe his voice was coming out of a pasty-faced white dude with ginger hair. Yeah. Anyway, really recommend that. But the other thing is, I'm watching at the moment. Talking of Jordan Peterson, I'm watching on YouTube Peterson Family Update, June 2020. Which is his rather gorgeous daughter, who is a fitness expert, I think. She's interviewing him about what's happened with his benzo something or other addiction that he's just been through, benzodiazepine. And it's Benzodiazepine Awareness Day on July the 11th, it was. And this drug, it sounds worse than the opioids. It really does. If you're on it for more than 2 weeks, you've got a 50% chance of becoming dependent on it. And I can't believe that doctors are giving these drugs to people knowing that they could have such serious implications.
And what I think is extraordinary, as I said last time, we touched on this lightly, is that it is such a clever man as him, who's a clinical psychologist, can accept a prescription for that and get addicted. What hope is there for the rest of the planet?
he does address this as well in this
Does he?
update. Yeah, it's him being interviewed by his daughter, and it's very moving. It's very interesting, and it makes you realise that if anyone offers you any of these things, because she was addicted to oxycodone.
Yes, she was, because she's the one with the crumbling spine.
That's right, and she had to have her foot replaced or something, and
yeah.
So he, and then he said, "Why? Oh, he's had a terrible time of it. He really has." But to have this happen to him is just, like you say, someone as clever as him. It makes you realise, doesn't it?
Well, it could happen to any of us, and I think in a way that's both reassuring and bad, actually.
Reassuring and worrying.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But so go and check that out. It's well worth a watch if you like Jordan Peterson and have wondered what's happened to him for the last year. It's harrowing stuff for what he's been through. And yourself?
Yes, I'm going to talk about a programme which has got 3 episodes, and they're unusually coming out weekly. So we've only been able to see 2 so far, and it's a Tuesday night programme on BBC, but 1 and 2 are on the iPlayer, and it's called The Rise of the Murdoch Dynasty. Ooh. And it's the incredible story of Rupert Murdoch's influence on world events and the dramatic personal battle for power at the heart of his own family. So he's got 3 children. Who would he pick? This is why it's called his dynasty. Who would he pick to replace him? He's got a clever daughter who then took up with a chap he didn't like, and 2 slightly dodgy sons. One who's clever but got no personality, and one who's all personality and no brains. But the 2 programs so far have been, that's what they set out to talk about. But in episode 1, they talked about how he gets either the Labour Party or the Conservative Party elected through the son. And he went to John Major and he said, "I don't like your policies. Will you change them?" And John Major said no. So he put on the front page of The Sun, "We're not recommending you vote for the Tories. This time we want you to vote for Tony Blair." Tony Blair got in. He fell out with Tony Blair during the course of Tony Blair's reign and switched his allegiance to David Cameron, and David Cameron got in next time. So he's literally a power broker for the governments, for the governments that he wants in the world. So it makes our, well, I'm about to tell you about my hero of this program, because the second episode was about the hacking of phones, which shut down the news of the world when they discovered that they'd hacked everybody's phone, from politicians to sports people to celebrities to Millie Dowler's phone. Do you remember Millie Dowler, who was the teenager who was abducted?
Yeah.
They had behaved like absolute proper scumbags, and a group of people brought a campaign against them called Hacked Off, and they won. And one of the leading lights of that was, guess who? Hugh Grant, who, of course, had his phone hacked. And like those 2 WASPI women I spoke about earlier, back to 60 women, took on the campaign. Now, he said, "I couldn't have done it by myself. There was a little posse of them that used to get together and support each other." He said, "Because it's scary to take on a big organisation like that." But they did win. But the marvellous thing that I loved about Hugh Grant, who's hidden his light I don't know why he's hidden his light for so long, but he's coming out as such a great person now, whereas actually he began not as a particularly great person. There was some pretty daggy film work, and then there was some, the situation where he was caught with the prostitute in Hollywood. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
And he said he thought that the treatment he got initially from the Murdoch Empire was part of his punishment for being caught with Divine Brown. And then he thought about it, and of course by then he'd started to have children, and he didn't want to live in a world where this was going on. And the quote of the week was, "Murdoch is a proper danger to liberal democracy. If liberal democracy is your thing, well, it's my thing, it's everybody's thing. And Murdoch is undermining it globally."
Yeah.
But what's interesting is this program, when you watch it, because of these things that he's done, he's so powerful, it takes your breath away. I hardly breathe through either of the programs because you're just watching with your mouth open.
Yeah, it's supposed to be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it.
It is brilliant. I don't know what the third one's going to be about next week, but it is. Somebody said to me this morning on Facebook they might watch it a second time. I know exactly what they mean because it's so gripping. It's like the best drama, but it's real.
And especially in these times and
days.
But
Hugh's quote, tongue in cheek, "He's a proper danger to liberal democracy if liberal democracy is your thing." It's all of our things in the Western world, but he's using the power of the press to rob us of that.
Yes. And there we go. We've delighted Glenn on Life Full of Meaning now, because he calls us his favourite controversial ladies.
Well, it's not very controversial, really. But if it's been revealed openly on the BBC without any kind of ta-da! I mean, there was a whistleblowing journalist who spent 7 years researching it all before they brought it out, and they did a they did a joint thing with the New York Times and the Guardian in the UK because they felt as a little publication, they weren't going to get anywhere by themselves.
Yeah.
It's about power, which of course is gripping.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's
if
awful.
If it's on the side of right.
Yes.
Well, I'm pleased, Glenn, if we have been controversial this week.
We do our best.
Yes, we do. See you next week, Nicola.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye. Bye.
Not a care and suffering. Wanna step into the world.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.